You think you understand women? Think again. Behind every smile, every glance, every "I'm fine," lies a complex world of desire, fear, and instinct. This isn't about hating women. This is about understanding their hidden psychology, so you stop getting blindsided, ghosted, manipulated, or friend-zoned. Today, we uncover the untold truths about female behavior, love, intimacy, and how Stoic men can master it all. Let's dive in. 1. After intimacy, she craves something you don't expect. Most men want to close their eyes, drift off, and recharge. For them, intimacy is a release, a conclusion. But for women, it's rarely the end. It's a gateway, a moment where her body opens, yes, but more importantly, her walls drop. In that fragile window after sex, her nervous system is wide open, her emotions are raw. She doesn't just want affection, she wants assurance. She wants to feel that the connection wasn't just physical, that she didn't just give a piece of herself to a man who will emotionally disappear the second he's satisfied. Here's the part most men miss. Women remember the after. If you pull away, scroll your phone, or roll over, she registers that distance, not logically, but somatically. And once a woman feels unsafe, no amount of sweet talk will bring her back. Stoic truth. True power is not in domination, it's in containment. The man who can hold his energy after the high, stay composed and present, becomes unforgettable. Not because of how he performed, but because of how he stayed. 2. Her body speaks louder than her words. Words can lie, but the body always tells the truth. She might say, "I'm not looking for anything serious." But if her pupils dilate when she looks at you, if she leans in while talking, if her toes are pointed your way while her head turns away, that's not disinterest. That's conflict. That's attraction, trying not to get caught. Body language is her subconscious trying to speak through the noise. Touching her neck, playing with jewelry, adjusting her posture. These aren't quirks. They're centuries of primal instinct encoded into movement. And the men who see them? They hold the real advantage. The average guy hears "I'm fine" and takes it at face value. The Stoic man looks deeper. He listens with his eyes. He knows that the truth is rarely spoken, it's expressed. And because he doesn't overreact or rush in, he becomes the one she feels safe revealing herself to. Stoic advantage. Attraction isn't earned by convincing her. It's earned by understanding her, even when she doesn't understand herself. 3. She doesn't dress for you. Here's one of the most misunderstood truths about women. What she wears has very little to do with impressing men. You might think she wore that tight dress to get your attention, but in reality, she might have worn it to reclaim her confidence after a bad day, a breakup, or just to feel powerful in her own skin. A woman's appearance is rarely a strategy, it's an expression. Her clothing mirrors her inner state, her cycle, her emotions, her level of self-trust. Some days she dresses to be invisible, other days to feel unstoppable. And it changes, not because of you, but because her identity is in flux. You can't decode a woman by her wardrobe unless you understand that her outfit is her armor. Sometimes it's for protection, other times it's for seduction, but it's always for her, not you. That's why reacting with overvalidation or inappropriate comments usually backfires, because she'll sense that you misread her intent, and worse, you made it about yourself. Stoic insight: don't assume, observe, compliment her energy, not her outfit. See beyond the surface and you'll earn the kind of attention that's rare, her respect. 4. Touch her mind, not just her skin. Most men are predictable. They chase curves, not thoughts. They touch flesh, not imagination. And that's why they become forgettable. A woman's most sensitive organ isn't her skin, it's her mind. Her arousal lives in anticipation, in the slow burn of the unknown. That's why subtlety outshines strategy. Whispering the right mystery without revealing your full hand triggers her curiosity far more than any compliment about her body. Here's what most guys get wrong. They announce their intentions too early. I'm good in bed. You'll love being with me. But every word that tries to impress builds an expectation. And expectation is the enemy of surprise. When a woman knows what's coming, she loses interest. When she doesn't, she leans in. The Stoic man speaks through silence. His restraint draws her in. His unpredictability keeps her guessing. He doesn't explain his depth, he lets her discover it, slowly. And when she finally does, it's not just attraction, it's fascination. Stoic law. Stop aiming to impress her body. Leave fingerprints on her mind. That's where real obsession begins. 5. She'll test you. Not to break you, but to feel you. Have you ever been blindsided by a mood shift? A random argument? Or a sudden silence right after things seem perfect? Most men panic. They assume she's irrational. Or worse, they try to fix it with logic. But what they don't realize is, she's not trying to break the connection. She's testing the foundation. Women test men, not because they're manipulative, but because they need to feel your boundaries. They need to know where the line is drawn, and if you're strong enough to enforce it. If she pushes and you crumble, you lose her trust. If you retaliate with anger, you lose her respect. But if you remain calm, firm, and unshaken, you gain both. These tests don't always come in words. Sometimes it's lateness, sometimes it's coldness, sometimes it's a subtle dig. But underneath it all is one silent question. Can you handle the storm I bring and still stay rooted? The Stoic man doesn't react. He doesn't explain his worth, he embodies it. And because of that, she can relax into her feminine knowing she's in the presence of structure, not chaos. Stoic principle. Boundaries are not barriers. They're invitations to trust. If you don't enforce them, you become invisible. If you found value in these insights so far, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more powerful videos like this, and it means the world to us. Thank you. 6. Her desire peaks when she feels powerless, in a good way. There's a misunderstood truth about feminine desire. It awakens in surrender, not in control. And during ovulation, this becomes biological. Her hormones shift, instincts heighten, and her body begins craving strength, not aggression, but direction. In that phase, dominance becomes arousing, but not the cartoon version. No yelling, no posing. True dominance is silent. It's a man who doesn't chase validation, who doesn't flinch when she tests him, who doesn't need her interest to feel whole. The man who holds strong eye contact without wavering, who speaks less but with certainty, who stays rooted when others would fumble, that's the one her body responds to. She's not looking for control. She's looking for containment. A man grounded enough to make her feel free when she lets go. This isn't about overpowering her. It's about offering her a space to lose control without judgment. When she senses you won't be shaken by her fire, she gives you access to parts of her no one else has seen. Stoic truth. The man who commands himself commands her. In your stillness, she finds permission to surrender. 7. Emotional safety unlocks sexual wildness. Despite what Hollywood sells, it's not lingerie, candles, or dirty talk that unlocks a woman's wildest desires. It's safety. The moment she feels seen without being judged, held without being controlled, accepted without needing to perform, that's when she lets go. Sexual liberation for women doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in her nervous system. If she senses that your attention is conditional or that your interest disappears the moment she gets vulnerable, her body will close off, no matter how sexy the moment seems. But if she feels that you can handle her complexity without retreating, if you can hear her silence without needing to fill it, if you can let her cry and still stay calm and steady, she'll not only trust you, she'll crave you. Because most men know how to touch a woman's skin. Very few know how to hold her soul. Stoic truth. The man who holds her heart, not just her hips, is the one she never forgets. Because in a world full of boys chasing pleasure, he offered something rare. sanctuary. 8. Crying in front of her can be a mistake. Let's be clear. Stoicism is not emotional suppression, but that doesn't mean you pour your chaos into her lap every time life gets hard. There's a difference between being real and being reckless. When a man cries once at the right time for the right reason, she feels his depth. She respects it. But when a man becomes emotionally dependent on her support, when he turns her into his therapist, his emotional anchor, his source of validation, something shifts. The polarity breaks. She no longer sees him as solid. She might still care, but she stops desiring, because no woman wants to mother the man she sleeps with. This isn't about pretending to be emotionless. It's about having inner discipline. You can feel pain without leaking it everywhere. You can process your emotions without performing them for validation. Stoic principle: reveal your heart, but don't hand it to someone else to hold. Your strength lies in knowing when to share. Not just what you feel, but how cleanly you carry it. 9. Romance isn't dead, it's just misunderstood. Romance isn't found in grand declarations or predictable cliches. It's hidden in awareness. Real romance is being so attuned to her energy that you know when to speak and when to be still, when to reach out and when to simply be near. It's in the details, the glance you hold a second longer when she's unsure, the calm you bring when she's chaotic, the quiet way you stand beside her when the world feels too loud. Romance isn't showmanship, it's subtlety. Most men try to impress with effort. The Stoic man impresses with essence. He doesn't try to create moments, he becomes the moment. She doesn't need a dozen roses, she needs one moment of being fully seen. One moment where she feels like the only woman in the world. Because the man next to her isn't distracted, isn't performing, isn't trying. Stoic insight: romance isn't loud, it's real. When presence is pure, words become unnecessary. 10. Her memory of you is tied to emotion, not logic. She won't remember the exact words you said. She won't recall every place you took her or how expensive your gifts were. What she will remember is how you made her feel when she was most unsure of herself. She'll remember if you stood tall when she expected you to chase. If you walked away with dignity when she disrespected your values. If you stayed calm when she lost control. These are the moments that etch into her memory. Not because of what you did, but because of who you were in that moment. Women are emotional historians. They may forget the timeline, but they will remember the emotional imprint. Your strength, your stillness, your silence, or your weakness, your insecurity, your desperation. And that's why some women never move on. Not because they're still in love, but because the feeling you left was so rare, no one else came close. Stoic legacy: make your presence a standard, not a moment. Be the kind of man whose emotional impact outlives his physical presence. The Stoic edge. You don't need to be taller, you don't need to be richer. You don't need to memorize pickup lines or play emotional games. You need to be something far rarer in today's world. A man who's centered. A man who doesn't chase attention because he's already rooted in purpose. A man who understands female psychology, not to manipulate, but to move with clarity. A man who is deeply aware of the power he holds. Not in what he does, but in what he chooses not to react to. The truth is, women aren't looking for perfection. They're scanning, consciously or not, for stability. For someone who doesn't get rattled by their storms. Someone who doesn't apologize for his standards. Someone who doesn't need to prove himself, because his very presence speaks volumes. That's the Stoic edge. To feel deeply but remain steady. To care, but never beg. To connect, but never collapse. When you embody this, you stop asking, how do I win her over? Instead, you become the man she doesn't want to lose, because she knows, deep down, that men like you don't come twice. Comment below. Which of these truths hit hardest? Which one made you rethink everything? And remember, a woman's love can be magnetic, wild, even overwhelming. But a man's calm mastery, his presence, his self-control, his quiet power is what leaves the deepest mark. Thanks for watching till the end. If this video gave you clarity, confidence, or even just one new perspective, support the channel by hitting subscribe, turning on the notifications, and sharing this with a friend who needs it. This isn't just content, it's a mindset. Welcome to Stoic Spirit. Stay sharp.